Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAIA basketball one podcast at a time. Good morning, Cascade Hoops Talk. Billy D here. Welcome to season 4 of Cascade Hoops Talk. Billy D's back. I know I had a little bit of a health scare. I'm doing fine now. I'm recuperating, and I'm going to definitely be around for another season at least. You can't get rid of me that easy. Hey, today we're going to kick it off with Mark Svagera. He's the head coach at Briar University. I wanted to start out with some of the top GPA, grade point average programs around the country. Briar, their GPA for their NAIA basketball team, 3.56. That was good for the second best in the entire nation. And I want to recognize those programs who not only put great teams on the court, but their student athletes perform in the classroom. So we're going to speak to Mark Svagera today. He's been at Briar for about 11 years now. He's been the head coach since 2017. They were 15-5. Last season co-champions in the GPAC. Really appreciate Coach Svagera giving us the time today. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, great to be back. And I have Mark Svagera, head coach at Briar, the Chargers. Hey, Mark, thanks for being on the show.
It's always a pleasure, Billy D.
So how excited are you? You started practice, today?
Yeah, so we're recording this on be the 22nd. It's the first allowable day of practice in the NAIA with some new rules we have put in this year. And so we actually practiced this morning already, homecoming week at Briar and had some guys with things going on tonight. So we got practice number 1 out of the way, and it's definitely an exciting time of year.
You know, I want to talk some basketball, obviously, but before we do that, I'm always whenever I speak to a young man, a student athlete, I always remind him, remember you're a student athlete. And then, the NAIA Daktronics Awards just came out. Your team had an average of, I believe, 3.56, one of the top, I think, number 2 in all of men's basketball in the NAIA. How proud were you of your student athletes, of your team, when you saw that?
Well, it's hard to put that into words. Obviously, I'm incredibly proud of our guys, and it's a complete credit to them, both as individual players, but collectively, it's just something I think our players take a lot of pride in. Obviously, we have some very good and motivated students, and I think in the big picture of things, at our level and in our league, we're not sending our guys to play professional basketball very often. Mm-hmm. And so I truly believe one of our jobs as coaches is to help prepare these kids for life after basketball. And so it is something we put a lot of importance on. But at the end of the day, it is a credit to our guys because they've done a heck of a job in the classroom, and it's something we're really proud of as a program.
Yeah, you and all of the Briar Charger community should be very proud of that. I want to tip my hat to you and the entire team. So, Mark, I'm going to ask. Sorry, I talked over you.
That's all right. I said I appreciate it.
Mark, last season you went 19-12. More importantly, 15-5. It was a good season. The GPAC was just absolutely brutal last year. Just talk about how competitive the GPAC has gotten in the last few years.
Well, I'm telling you what, it's really, really good. And it's the teams that end up at the top of the league are obviously really good teams. But I think what makes our league so good is it's the teams that finish in the middle of the standings, and even the teams, more near the bottom, like those are really good teams. And, to give you an example, last year we were fortunate enough to be co-champs of the league. Mm-hmm. And, we lost 2 games to Dakota Wesleyan, who was the 8th seed in our conference tournament. And I remember getting ready for that game in the conference tournament thinking like, this is the best 8 seed I've ever seen.
Right.
And, that's just, it's a testament to the players in the league. And I think the coaching in our league, but it's really, really good. And so it's, you don't have a night off, and it's really fun because it's really competitive. It's nerve wracking as a coach. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think again, in the big picture, when our teams get to a national tournament setting, I do think that our teams are very well prepared and they're battle tested. And, that's a testament to our league from top to bottom.
Yeah, and I think that played out last year with, the deep runs of both Concordia and Jamestown. They both had some big wins in the national tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, something you don't want to talk about, and I will only do it once, but late in the season last year, you had that big 14-point win at Jamestown. It was a big win late in mid-February, and then you had to go a couple days later to Seward, and then you just had that devastating loss to Concordia that played over and over on ESPN. Just talk about the end of that game.
Well, it's, obviously, probably anybody that's listening to this probably saw it either on social media. I know it was on SportsCenter. And, number one, you tip your cap to Concordia's players. Carter Kent makes an incredible pass, and Tristan Smith has an incredible catch and finish. So you got to tip your cap to them. But if you rewind from that a little bit, the play before, Jaden Klein-Hesselink hit an incredible double clutch three.
Yeah. Guys hanging on him.
Ahead. And then you think about that last play, but what I remember most from that game is with about 6-7 minutes left, we were down 14. Mm-hmm. And we were on the verge of maybe that was going to turn into a 20-point loss. And our guys really battled back to even give us a chance in that. And so, it's still frustrating, and it's probably a play I'm going to try not to ever watch again. But, at the same time, I was really proud of our guys that night, just the way we battled back, especially on the road in a hostile environment.
I agree. Mark, how tough is it? I asked Brevin Slope about this on the other side. How tough is it when they come to the bench? Now, the Concordia guys came to the bench and they had to, they thought the game was over. They were going to lose. How tough is it when there's time left on the clock? Klein-Hesselink hit a miracle shot. To the guys are, the adrenaline's pumping. They're probably feeling like, oh, we've won this game. How do you keep them focused in that final huddle? What do you say?
Well, honestly, we just kind of go over what we want to do and how we want to cover and who we want on the ball and those types of things. And my hope would be, if we're doing our job as coaches all year long, our guys should know exactly what they want to do. That's those late game situations. That's something we work on extensively, and I'm sure everybody does. But we do that every day, particularly in the preseason, because I don't ever want to be in a situation where, we don't have a timeout or something like that. I just want our guys to know exactly what we want to do. And so I don't know that we said a whole lot. I think they came to the bench initially and everybody was pretty fired up after going ahead, and you just try to maybe calm them down a little bit and, hey guys, there's 1 second left here. Let's go finish. And, they make a play, you tip your cap to them. And unfortunately, when you're on the wrong side of those, it's devastating. And, we've all been on the other side too, and it's incredible.
Thanks for I just had to ask you about that because we hadn't talked since that happened.
No, that's all right. Not a problem at all.
Mark, you guys we were talking before we started, you guys are loaded up this year. You had a good team last year. You've got the core basically back. Quentin Vasa, he's graduated, move on, but you've got Jaden Klein-Hesselink, Kyle Borhave, Quinn Vesey, Connor Groves, Matt Stillwell, Nick Hoyt. Is this the most experience you've returned, or maybe the Jay Wolfs last year you had a lot? Is this the most, you think?
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I know that 18-19 season, we brought a lot back off of a team that had gone to the Elite Eight the year before. So it's probably right up there with that. And this team's just a little different. We had a couple of years there where we had, Jay Wolf, Eric Erdman, Jackson Lamb, and those were guys that were all just big time scorers and, put up some pretty crazy numbers. This group we kind of have, and we've had this same group for a couple of years now, they've been a lot more balanced. You look at last year's numbers, and Kyle Borhave led us in scoring at 12.7, and then our seventh leading scorer was at like 7-something. We just had a lot of balance. So it's different in a way, but it's definitely a very experienced group. And I think maybe more importantly, it's an incredibly mature group. All those guys are 22, 23 years old, and they've all been playing big minutes for most of their careers. And so as a coach, that's exciting. Beyond that, one of the things we really need to focus on is building our depth. Because we definitely have some unknowns, and don't get me wrong, we have some players that we think are very good and very capable of stepping in and producing for us, but they're a little untested when it comes to actual in-game experience.
So you've got a good core, strong core coming back. Any newcomers that the fans could watch for this season?
Yeah, it's it's a little early for that question still.
Yeah,
but,
I understand.
Right now on our varsity roster, we have 2 freshmen. Blake Sindelar is a freshman wing out of Howells, Nebraska, and Will Luger is a freshman kind of wing forward out of Cherokee, Iowa. Both those guys really high-scoring high school players, well-accomplished high school players. And, like with any freshman, they've got a learning curve, and, we'll see what happens. And then I think, just some other names, like we've got a couple guys like Nathan Hall is a 6'8" sophomore post player. He played just a little bit for us last year, battled some injury stuff, but we kind of hope he can step in and help us. And Tyrus Eischide's a forward who we thought was going to help us last year, and he dealt with a knee injury, so he missed a good chunk of the year. And then, we have another junior guard, Jamison Helmers, who had a phenomenal summer and just got a lot better. And so we've got a lot of guys kind of right there, and there's a lot of competition that's going to happen in our practices here over the next couple of weeks to kind of figure out who are going to be the guys that step into those roles that were maybe vacated by some seniors.
You and I have talked about it before, but the quality, the speed, the jumping, the athleticism, just the quality of basketball in the NAI has exploded over the last few years. When you're out recruiting, what are the attributes that you're looking for? Who are the guys that can, that's a huge jump from high school to NAI. What kind of player you look for?
Well, I wish there was a perfect science in that, Bill. I really do, because it would make all of our jobs a little easier. But I think, there's obviously a baseline of just basketball skill you're looking for. Can they shoot? Can they handle the ball? Things like that. Then you're looking for kids that are, do they have room to develop athletically? Do they have room to get bigger, stronger, faster? And that's not easy to do. And then something that we put a lot of stock in is, what are they a smart basketball player? Do they have a high basketball IQ? Because a lot of the things we do are predicated on that. When it comes to moving the ball and spacing and making cuts and reads and all those things. So that's really important for us. And, the thing we've tried not to do is we've tried not to box players in to, hey, you're a little too small, or maybe you're a half step slow. And we've had some guys that have been very, very good players for us that, maybe others thought, hey, this guy's a little too small to play, the post, or this guy's too small to be a good guard in college basketball. And they've ended up being good players because they're tough. Yeah. And I think that's the other thing. I want to see toughness because, you go play on the road in the GPAC, you better be pretty tough. Yep. You're not going to win if you're not. And so those are just a few of the things we look for. And then I think an overriding thing is, are they good kids? Mm-hmm. We want to have good kids in our program that represent not only our basketball program, but Briar University in a first-class way. And that's really important. And so there's a lot of factors. It's definitely an imperfect science, but it's also pretty fun as you're trying to piece all those things together and build a roster year in and year out.
Mark, that quality of person is really exacerbated at a conference like yours or the Cascade, where you're on those long bus trips.
Yeah, it's and part of that, we want to be around people that we enjoy being around. And that's the thing, like this group we have some great kids, and they are fun to be around. Now, they drive me crazy some days, no doubt. But at the end of the day, I genuinely enjoy being around our guys. I enjoy interacting with them. And the best part of, I think, all of our jobs as coaches is getting to build those relationships with our players that last a lot longer than just the 4 years they're putting on a uniform for us at Briar Cliff.
Well, Mark, before you know it, it's going to be the third week in October, and you have to go over to Madison, and you're taking on a couple of North Star teams that want to hang one on you. You're taking on Dakota State and Presentation. That's going to be a tough way to start the season.
Yeah, it is. And it's, Dakota State, that's a tough place to play. And, Coach Garner, you want to talk about a legendary coach. Uh-huh. I think his resume speaks for itself. And, his teams are going to be tough. His teams are going to be well prepared. And, going into these opening games, there's always a bunch of unknowns. You can watch all the film from last year and all that, but there's going to be a lot of unknowns. And so a lot of it comes down to how fast can you adjust on the fly as a team. Things you think are going to happen don't happen, and something else happens. Well, you have to adjust. And so that's going to be, as we get closer and closer to that, that'll be something we talk about with our guys. We'll play Dakota State that first night, and then we play Presentation the second night, who, they have a new coaching staff, some new guys on their roster, so we're not going to know a ton about them. On a personal note, that's going to be a fun game for me because their head coach, Trevor Flemmer, used to be an assistant for us at Briar.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
This is his first head coaching job, so obviously I'm really excited for him. I really want to beat him, but definitely really excited for him. So that'll be a fun weekend and a nice test to get the year rolling.
And another couple of games I wanted to bring up, and I'm talking to the fans there in Briar. Get to all the games, but you really got to make on November 4th, William Penn, a great program, is coming to town. It's a great treat to see a program like that come to town. And then on November 8th, Mount Mercy is coming to town. So when you get these out-of-conference teams coming to town, you really need to get out and see those games because there's great NAI. I know the GPAC is good basketball, but boy, there's great NAI basketball all over the country. And really get out and see those non-conference games when they come to town.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we're pretty fortunate at Briar that we get great support, and our student section's awesome. So we are fortunate. So I'm expecting big crowds for all those games. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, you look at William Penn. I don't know that there's a whole lot of teams that have won more games over the last decade than William Penn has. I mean, it's been pretty impressive what they've done. And we played down at their place last year and lost a really close game. Tough game. And, so that'll be fun. And, Mount Mercy, both those teams actually beat us on the road last year. And so we get them at home this year. So that'll be fun. And, then kind of after that, we get into GPAC play pretty quick. I feel like we start conference play maybe a little sooner than some others do.
Yeah, you start. I was going to ask you about that. You're on November 12th. I mean, well before Thanksgiving, you're jumping in, and then you're playing Concordia. You think you'll get a good crowd for that game?
Well, I certainly hope so. Every once in a while you run into, a Saturday, that's still football season. And so, might have a little sparser student section, but it should be good. And obviously, they've been very successful the last couple of years. And we played some, as we've talked about, some pretty incredible games with them over the past couple of years as well. So it's, the thing about the non-conference is I truly believe that if we're going to be the best we can be, we need to challenge ourselves in the non-conference.
Absolutely.
So, playing a program like William Penn, and a couple of weeks after that, we played Benedictine, who I think is a big-time program. That's good for us in the long run. And, I don't want the first time that we're really tested and face adversity in a game. I don't want that to be in a GPAC game. I want to work through that in the non-conference. So when we get to GPAC games and the game's on the line and we need to make the tough plays, we're ready to do it.
The GPAC is going to be tough again. We talked a little bit about the schedule, your lineup. What do you think? I know it's early. You've just seen the guys in one practice, but what do you think are going to be the keys for the Chargers to compete and win the GPAC this season?
Well, I think it's going to start with, number one, and this is something we talked about all off season. You can't be complacent. We had a good year last year, and there's a lot there to be proud of. But you can't just rest on that and think it's going to be the same this next year. There was still room for improvement after last year. And so it's going to start with that. It's a mindset. Last year, to that team's credit, they were an incredible practice. They brought a very strong mentality to practice every day. And we need to be able to replicate that again and not just relax because we had some success. So it starts there. On the defensive side of the ball, we'll be a little on the small side. So rebounding is going to be something we really focus on. But beyond that, it's developing some depth early on. Like I said, we have some unknowns there. We're built on spacing and ball movement and putting pressure on the defense and trying to really work for efficient, high-level shots. And we need to continue to do that. And so I really like the mentality of this team. I saw it in the summer. We had some guys who have been very successful players for us that continued to get better. And that's not always the case. So I'm really excited about it. But the biggest thing is it's not going to be easy, and it never will be.
You know, Mark, I really appreciate you taking the time. I can't wait for the ball to get thrown up. This preseason, this season, all across the country, there's going to be games. People are traveling, across the country playing each other, and just like you're taking on William Penn. But I can't wait for the ball to get thrown up, and I wish you guys the best of luck once GPAC starts.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to come on with you, Bill. And, you're 100% right. I think NAI basketball is in an incredible spot right now. I think the product on the floor is getting better and better, and it's going to be another exciting year for NAI basketball for sure.
Well, that's Mark Svagera. He's the head coach of Briar Chargers, who incidentally have the second best GPA in all of NAI men's basketball. Congratulations, Coach, for your success and continued success on the floor as well as the classroom.
Appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you again sometime during the year, Bill.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Hey, thanks again to Mark Svagera, Briar Charger basketball. Thank you so much for being on the show. I can't tell you how exciting it is to be beginning season 4 of Cascade Hoops Talk, staring down the barrel of another NAI season. It's going to be the most exciting season of the last 4 years. Go out, buy your season tickets, or at least look at your calendar and make some plans. Make some plans to get on the road, too. There ain't nothing funner than a road game. Get out there and support your local NAI team. These student athletes bust their rears. They excel in the classroom. They excel on the court. Get out there and support your favorite school. Hey, this is Billy D, and I want to remind you, NAI basketball is the best entertainment value